Friends, welcome back to AJS Astrology. In today's video, based on all the comments and based on all the emails I have received so far, so instead of doing a series on the retrograde Jupiter, which we are going to do that, but based on all the requests and based on all the demand, we are going to start also in parallel a series on Saturn retrograde. So, what happens when you have Saturn retrograde? There are multiple theories which you might already have heard about that, but this is going to be just my plain interpretation. And today we are not going to cover all the 12 houses, but we are only going to cover the first and the second house. A retrograde Saturn in a chart, regardless of where you find it, always represents the neglect of responsibilities in the past. So, for all of you who believe in past birth, in this case, if you open your horoscope and check it, if you have retrograde Saturn, which means there was a neglect of responsibilities in the past. Let's see, based on Saturn's placement, where this neglect could be. In many ways, it indicates that the native of the chart must be more honest with himself, since there was an avoidance of true self-awareness and self-honesty. Also, with the retrograde Saturn, the native comes into this life with the tendency to have the same goals that he had before. For these were not fulfilled in the past because of the avoidance of responsibilities. So, if you have retrograde Saturn, this shows you might have had lot of aspirations, lot of dreams in your past birth. But since you were not able to fulfill them, all because you were trying to have a shortcut, or maybe like lack of responsibility, some other stuff might have come up. So, or maybe you're not honest with the work. So, in this life, the universe wants to give you a second chance to fulfill your dream, to realize it. The identical goals will be present in this birth, sometimes cloth in different circumstances or different situations, but the same goals would be the underlying foundation, regardless in the circumstances and situation in the person's life. Example, you might have thought in your past birth that I would become an entrepreneur. You will become somebody famous like Steve Jobs. And you were not able to realize or fulfill that dream. Yes, you did lay the foundations in your past birth. You might have started one or two companies. But since might be you did not have that much money, you did not work that hard, you're not able to realize that. And in this birth, after a certain age, circumstances will still be the same. But that's the nature's way of showing you that whatever mistakes you have done in the past, maybe you are not able to figure out, not meet the right kind of people, not able to go and present yourselves. So, whatever mistakes you have done, there is a chance for you to rectify it. A retrograde Saturn in a chart indicates that in a past life, the individual crystallized did not grow. The responsibilities that were ignored or avoided in the past are involved with the qualities of the sign in which the retrograde Saturn is located in this lifetime. For example, a retrograde Saturn in Leo shows that the individual avoided the responsibility of leadership in the past. And with the Sun as the ruling planet of Leo, the individual made no attempt to bring out the soul quality or soul consciousness in the past. Another example could be a retrograde Saturn in Cancer. Since Cancer is the feeling sign of the zodiac, it shows the avoidance of true feeling concepts in the past. So, based on the zodiac signs, you might be able to realize what kind of lessons you neglected in the past and what kind of lessons you are expected to perform in your present birth. Without going into too much of details, let's see what happens when you have Saturn in different houses. Friends, here I will be making the general prediction. For a detailed understanding, you will need the nakshatras, the aspects, the dashas, mahadashas, multiple other factors. Let's see when Saturn is in the first house, retrograde Saturn. A retrograde Saturn in the first house shows that the individual in the past did not develop a flexible personality. He was set in his way, opinionated, and according to the sign had an ego problem. The responsibility of developing the ego was neglected, or the personality was developed along negative lines. It also indicates that the individual avoided the development of talents which are part of his character and personality. So, this is in short a very short summary of what happens when you have retrograde Saturn in the first house. The lesson to be learned with retrograde Saturn in the first house is the proper development of personality in such a way that the individual receives the respect of others. It tells that the individual should establish proper values, goals, and direction in life. The tendency to be too sober, too serious, too contemplative should be balanced with a good sense of humor and a flexibility in adjusting to diversified situations and experiences in life that would be encountered. So that's all about retrograde Saturn in the first house. So we did talk about what it represents and what are the lessons that the person should understand. Let's talk about Saturn in the second house. Here Saturn shows the individual was much too materialistic in the past. He was placing emphasis solely upon material security and material possessions. So, this shows an individual who was too materialistic in the past, just like you might have a miser person, just pardon my use of language, or you might have a person who is too attached to money. I'm pretty sure you might have seen this kind of people. So, here Saturn shows that this person, this individual, might be too attached to the material possessions. It indicates that the values were self centered with little regard as to how the material aspects in life could be used for the benefit of others. There was little true appreciation of the wise use of money and things. So, this individual, you might see a lot of entrepreneurs who have lots and lots of money, but they are hesitant to give out even a small percent of money for the welfare of the community. So, these are the kind of people who might have Saturn in the second house and that too retrograde. So, here Saturn is trying to teach you a lesson. There are several questions that arise with retrograde Saturn in the second house. Can the native of the chart accept poverty and privation without losing a sense of perspective about life itself? Can the native of the chart assume a code of values which are non materialistic? Since the retrograde Saturn opposes the 8th house, the answers to these two questions could easily reside in emphasizing the qualities of the 8th house, which are regeneration, metaphysics. The lesson of retrograde Saturn in the second house. Now we talked about the possibilities that the person can be materialistic. He might not have learned the values of being non materialistic. Now, what are the lessons? Despite the denials, limitations, disappointments, more efforts will have to be expanded in order for the native to accumulate any degree of an estate or material security. It requires that the individual establish correct values where these things are concerned. Even if the individual does exert effort and realign his values, the material possessions and security will not come easily, but they can, depending upon the sincerity and the effort exerted by the native of the chart. So, friends, this is my understanding of retrograde Saturn, what it is, and if you have retrograde Saturn in the first and second house. If you do like this video, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. In that way, you are the first ones to know more about our latest upcoming videos. And also, please, in case if you do want me to make a specific video, please add your comments in the comment section below. I will try to do my very best on making the video on the request. Thank you.